My name's Angela Cunningham, and I came to MUDFLAT originally as artist in residence in 2004. I had just finished grad school, got my MFA, and for a lot of people like me, art students who are looking for a place to develop their career and to start out in the world, I looked for some great residency programs around the country, and MUDFLAT was the one. I wanted to be in an urban place. And there aren't many residencies in cities, and they had a great package, and I loved the people and came here and never left. You know, when I first came here as artist in residence, Somerville, it's for a very long time, you know, they say, you know, the most artists per capita, or just next to Manhattan, and so it's known for having a ton of artists. But with MUDFLAT's expansion in this great new building and our furthering our community programming with the students in the Somerville Public Schools, and our greater representation in galleries and exhibitions around the city, I see that MUDFLAT has really contributed a lot to the national, greater Boston area, and specifically Somerville art scene. Just like Artisans Asylum and the Arts at the Armory, those have all things that have come to Somerville since I've been here. Even Honk, you know, it's a community activist kind of thing, but it's an arts movement, and that's part of what makes it great to live in Somerville, and MUDFLAT's an integral part of that.
MUDFLAT's mission is to provide education in the ceramic arts, and we do that through classes and workshops that we offer here at our facility. We also have a lot of visiting artists who come in, so we're trying to expand the kind of programming that we can offer to people who might be beginning students or even more advanced students, or our studio artists who are professional artists working in clay. And we participate in events like Somerville Open Studios every May to be part of the bigger Somerville community of artists. We kind of fill a niche because we're just working with clay. We're not doing any of the other arts that a lot of, like a community art center might do. But that means that we can really dig deep in what we offer in clay. So we have classes in beginning, wheel throwing and hand building, to more advanced classes. I'm teaching a technical class right now that's about learning all the glaze chemistry and how to load and fire kilns. So we're teaching people that aspect of not just how to make the pots, but how to get them through the whole process as well. We really want people to be exposed to a lot of ceramics, so we do a monthly newsletter where we're not only letting them know about the programs we have here, but we're also pointing out places in the Boston area where they can go see clay shows. So if there's a gallery that's got an opening of a particular artist or a kind of clay work, we want them to go see that stuff as well. So we tell them where it is, and we let them know when the wine and cheese reception is, which is always a good draw. And we also try to have like monthly programs here that might be like a free slide presentation or a presentation by one of our visiting artists that might also just expand someone's horizons about what they might find, you know, different ways to work in clay. So we can really expose people to a lot of different ways of working, whether it's with any of those techniques: hand building, sculpture, tiles, wheel throwing, different glazing techniques, different firing techniques. We also take we do a lot of off-site workshops where we might take our students up to do a firing at somebody else's kiln. So we just did that with a bunch of our students. 2 weekends ago we went up to a potter friend up in Maine, and we did a salt firing, which is a technique we can't offer here, but it's just another way that people can experience that and kind of experiment a little bit with their pots and see what those results are.
Susan Bernstein. I've been at MUDFLAT for about 14 years, and a teacher for about 7, and a studio artist for about that amount of time, or maybe a little bit longer, 9 years, studio artist. And I came here when I was pregnant. I had been painting, and I wanted to do a different medium. I started to get back into clay that I had done in high school, so I didn't go to art school. even though I didn't go to school, I was able to take classes here. And then eventually I applied for a studio, got into a studio, and then I asked Lynn, can I teach? And so she's kind of let me do a lot of what I want to do without having to have a degree. So that's how I feel about with my students. Everybody has this potential to create. It doesn't, the degree or talent is really irrelevant. It's really about the desire to make. And if you're drawn to clay, that's your medium, and it's possible to make anything you want. I think for me, if there's a few things that basically I teach the way I kind of learned it, which is I give people a lot of room to have their intuition. And actually, one thing I really wanted to say is I feel like what I see is that clay is almost like a memory. You're not really teaching it. I give people a few basic things and their hands kind of have a way, and to me it seems like it's more of a memory. And because it's such an old human craft, when you touch when you touch clay, you have access to that craft's lineage. And so I think there's a lot of, you know, in the United States we don't have clay traditions, you know, that go back hundreds of years like in other countries in the same kind of way. So people often look to Native American, of course, here, Africa, India, China, Japan. For me, I think my biggest influence is Africa. Just from, I don't know, I guess National Geographic growing up and some of those images just imprinting on me so deeply. So in the clay that I saw, Ladi Kwali or just different people where I would just be like, oh my God, you know, in the books that I'm looking at, I started researching, can I go and learn? I just wanted to sit down with these women and make clay making with them. You know, not so much a goal to go to university, but that was the university I wanted to go to. So I contacted this man who had made some films, and suddenly I panicked, like, does this even still exist? You know, this was in the 50s, 60s, 70s that Michael Cardew was there, and you know, people were showing us what was there. Does it even still exist? And he said, oh yeah, it absolutely exists, because people don't have running water and they need food storage, so it's still in demand. And in fact, the professor that worked with me when I did my Fulbright in Ilorin, Nigeria, is still there, and he can ask the headmistress for permission for you to go. That was our first conversation. And within 6 months, I was in Nigeria, which to me, it's really, I just am so grateful that I went. It was right before Boko Haram kidnapped the girls, and now Ebola, it's not in Nigeria, but you know, it touched that region. I probably wouldn't have gone as a mother, you know, but I'm so glad I did, because those women are in a mother-daughter lineage. Here's some of the women that I met. So from, it's about 800 years in Ilorin. It's Dada compound. They provide most of the functional wear for all of Nigeria, and a lot of probably some of the, you know, adjoining states. And they learn from being in their mother's womb, and they're on their mother's back, and by the time they're 4, they're mixing the clay. There's no not clay for them. This is, you know, we don't have really anything quite like that here, you know, where it's the expectation that as your daughter, you can't get into it unless your mother was in that tradition. So they have an advantage of some of the other girls of what they can do for work. And they were just really generous with me to allow me to come and photograph and observe. And I just kind of went as a mother, as another potter. I wasn't trying to be anybody special. I just was like, I'm interested. I saw the film. You know, I just want to learn from you. So I think it went really well. Really well, and just that human level So I think I did a film series here of pottery cultures around the globe, just so people could have access to what's really happening, because it's not just this craft we have here. Of course, most people are familiar with Native American pottery, but the hand-built pottery is really around the globe. So I just felt like people should know what's going on. Mato Ortiz in Mexico, that was one of the films. So that's just what excites me.
My name is Ramey Gold, and I have been involved with MUDFLAT Studio since 1972 or 73. I started out, I can tell you the story, I started out by taking a carpentry class because I was getting divorced and my ex-husband made these wooden cubes, and I thought, well, he'll take them and I'll just make my own. So I took a carpentry class and I did very poorly because I didn't have the math ability to do the fractions to cut the wood, and I don't know, this voice in my head said, clay, you'll just squish it and it will get bigger and you'll cut it off and get smaller. So I took a clay class. When I started taking classes at MUDFLAT in 1973, I mean, it was a little hole in the wall, but we were happy little hippie people and we didn't know. And it was great. And then, I don't know, somehow we left that building and we moved over to 25 First Street. And, you know, it was kind of a funky place. The door was always open and it was really neat. And that's when Lynn, our director, came. And I remember when she walked into the building and she was wearing her little bank clothes and her little white blouse and her black skirt. And I thought, well, who is this clean little person? So anyway, she was just looking for studio space because she had moved from Chicago, and I was just a student. I was doing work study, so I'd mix up glazes and stuff. And anyway, so someone said, "Hey, you know, there's an empty studio space. Would you like it?" And I thought, "Oh no, I'm not good enough." They said, "Yeah, you're fine, you're fine." So I took the studio space just because they offered it to me, and. Now, to get a studio space, I mean, I am so grateful I have a studio space because now to get a studio space here, I mean, you really have to be quite the professional artist. You have to apply and submit applications and go interview. I mean, it's crazy. So I feel very blessed to have a studio space.
I'm Holly Curcio. Been at MUDFLAT for 3 years. I came here as an artist in residence, and I'm from Massachusetts, but moved around the country doing residencies and you know, grad school, and then I moved back to Massachusetts when I got the residency at MUDFLAT. Just having, you know, community, like there's just so many artists here. I just work better when there's like a lot of people around, and just like the interaction.
Everyone can find more information about MUDFLAT on our website, which is mudflat.org. We have a complete listing of our classes and workshops and programs that we offer, as well as any upcoming events. And anyone is welcome to join our newsletter as well. You can reach that through our website or send me an email. I'd be happy to add you to that. And come and visit us at our next open studio and sale in December.